Little intro music. It's been a minute since we've been here. Just final clicks and clacks to make sure we're streaming properly. Hey, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I think we're ready to go. Yes. Okay. Give it one more sec. I hope you had a great weekend, because this is Monday, and we're going to do this live thing where we answer your traffic and police questions, because this is Ask a Traffic Cop. Yes, indeed it is. We are in Toronto. My name is Sean Shapiro, and I'm going to answer your traffic and police questions, because that's what I do. I do a lot of different things, but this is part of what I do. Make notes, write reports, answer questions. Okay. Song's going to wrap. I don't want to cut it short. I like this tune. One day we will have custom music aside from the traffic song to roll into the show. We need that. If you're a musician, if you write stuff and you want to write something, we would love to have your song as our intro. My name is Sean Shapiro. Today is Monday, the 12th of September, and we're doing what we do every day from 10 to 11, and that's host Ask a Traffic Cop, where you can ask me questions and I answer them, because I'm see, it's been too long. I had a couple of days off, and in doing so, I've lost my rhythm. I don't know if it really had rhythm, but I certainly missed the flow. So what are we doing? You could be watching on any of the platforms we're currently broadcasting on. So we're on TikTok, of course, and that's where we've got a wild and crazy and amazing audience that is always active and always, got amazing questions. Now we're also on Instagram Live. We are constantly hearing from friends on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you're on all those platforms other than Twitter, you can ask questions in the chat and we'll see them on the main screen. If you are on Twitter, though, it doesn't work. You can, however, jump into trafficcop.ca, and that will give you links to any of the other platforms we're on, as well as Volley. Volley is an app. Let's see here. How do I stop that? I have to be able to ignore this, because you are probably listening to my phone ring, and I want it not to. My apologies to the horrible noise that was just in your ear. How do I turn this off? No ring. Availability. Here. My availability is off for the next 2 hours. Hopefully that means it will not ring. We have a soft phone, and the soft phone evidently rings on TikTok and everywhere it's listening. So, yay! All right. If you're on, that's what I was saying. If you are currently watching us on Instagram, your questions won't be seen. So go to trafficcop.ca and you can use Volley. Volley is a fantastic app that allows you to ask questions. And we have a couple of questions that are sitting in the Volley app waiting to be answered. And I'm going to make sure we're not playing. Okay, I will come back to those in a second. I do have to talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. That's something I always start with, at least unless I forget, and I have not forgotten today, so that's a bonus. The deal is that we have a team of officers that are strictly for enforcement purposes. They're in, how do we say this? Their job is to change driver behavior through enforcement. They go out and write tickets. They don't give hugs. They don't give warnings. They issue tickets for offenses that lead to serious injury and death on our roads. What are those offenses? Well, they are speeding. I call them the big four. Speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. And that's what they're looking for, because we know that those things lead to those behaviors, those choices that drivers make lead to serious injury, death on our roads. And obviously that's unacceptable, because the majority of collisions can be avoided. The majority. Now, the minor ones, that fender benders, they're going to happen. We accept that. But the ones that lead to serious injury and death are absolutely avoidable by changing driver behavior. So be part of the solution, not the problem. Drive slower. Don't drive aggressively. Don't use your cell phone while you're driving. And, of course, don't drive impaired. All right, where are they going to be today? We talk about it every day. We post to our social media platforms where they are going to be every day. You can get that on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. Today they're in 14 Division and 43 Division. Now that may not mean anything to you, but it will probably mean stuff to the people who live there. But let's spell it out. It's the communities, the neighborhoods of Christie, Ossington, Annex, Little Italy, Bendale, Woburn, I never say this properly, Woburn, Highland Creek, West Hill, and Guildwood. So those are the neighborhoods, the people where real people live, work, and play that want to be safer. And our stats say that they need the attention today because there's obviously been crashes or behavior observed that are causing an issue. All right. It's a rainy day in Toronto. Rain. Hopefully you got your all seasons on, not your winter tires from last year, because they don't do very well in the rain, oddly enough. Many people don't know that, but winter tires are good for snow and winter weather and cold, not good for warm and not good for wet. So if you're still driving on last year's winters, that's not good. But let's talk about some questions, because we do have some questions coming in. Leo wife, my wife, says good rainy morning, and good rainy morning to you guys. I say you guys, but I forget the kids are in school now. Jacob says good morning. We have Jacob saying a bunch of different things. Yes, and it is good to be live again. We've had 4 days of, 4 days only? 4 days? Actually, it was, 5 days, because technically we didn't do an Ask a Traffic Cop on Wednesday. We only had one Ask a Traffic Cop last week, and it was Tuesday. So it's been a while, and it's good to be back. Okay, we're going to go into some questions. Are motorcycles allowed to drive in the HOV lane? Yes, they can. 400 series highways, as of 2017, motorcycles can operate solo operator in the HOV, which is awesome because they are a great way to get around. I'm a big fan of motorcycles, been riding since I was a kid. Now, in the city of Toronto, our HOV lanes, or specialty use lanes, the diamond lanes, specifically state what can be there, and most of them, motorcycles are included. So make sure you pay attention to the signs, because they are not the same as HOV lanes on highways. And there may be restrictions. For instance, bus lanes, you can't use the motorcycles. They cannot go. What do we got here? What happens if you get caught driving alone with your G1? This is one of my favorite questions, because it's got such a great answer. It's serious consequences, and the people who choose to do it are seriously making bad decisions. So let's break it down. One, you get charged for G1 driver drive unaccompanied, because you have to be supervised by a qualified G-class driver. That's someone who has a driver's license and 4 years experience. That 4 years starts when they get their G2, but you have to have those 4 dots vertically represented in the bottom right-hand corner of your driver's license. So that's one. You get a charge for that, $110. Second, you're not insured. You should know that. And the person who lets you drive that car in contravention of a condition, well, they are eligible for a ticket as well. If you took that vehicle without consent, well, you're criminally responsible for take vehicle without consent. That's a problem, a big one. And what happens when you get convicted? Well, aside from the $110 fine, you also get a 30-day suspension for your first conviction. If you have subsequent convictions, like the second and third time you do it, well, on the second time, it's a 90-day suspension. On your third time, it is a removal from the graduated licensing program. And that sucks. So don't do that. Now, I mentioned that you're not insured. Yeah, if you were to become involved in a collision, you would not be insured. Now, the liability might be there for the other vehicle that you damaged when you became involved in that collision, but your vehicle would not be covered, or would likely not be covered, because, again, you're not a licensed driver. What insurance company in their right mind would pay you for a vehicle that you damaged when you took it without a license? In any case, don't do that. Okay. Crystal says, good morning, Sean, and everybody else. Thank you. Fishing Rookie says, good morning. And then Cooper Davis says, how much can you lower your car legally? Okay, these are all great questions. Well, 2 good mornings and a question. The answer to lowering it legally is really an interesting one, because there's a couple of different factors. One, mechanics will tell you, and at least mechanics have told us, that you can go no lower than 1.5 inches from factory height. Now, I don't know if that is accurate or not, and I don't care. Why? Because that's not something the police look at. We look at contact with, fender and tire, or I should say bodywork or frame and tire at lock to lock. We look at, ground clearance. Does the body make contact with the ground? Those sort of things. Now, there are an enforceable side of it beyond that 1.5 inch business, that there is a headlight standard, that your headlights can't be a certain distance from the ground. Both that and a maximum if you were raising it. So there's a bunch of different things here. Let's see here. So I hope that answers your questions. At the end of the day, consult a trustworthy mechanic. You can also look at the, what is it called? The light truck and passenger vehicle standard, because that's what's going to be dictating the nuances, the little bits. But as a police officer, if I pull your car over and I look at it and I say, turn your wheel to the left all the way, and I can see contact or I see rub and wear marks when I look underneath and inspect your vehicle, which I'm allowed to do as a police officer, then you're going to be an unsafe vehicle and I take you off the road. You're going to lose your license plates. Okay. Got that one covered. SUV and e-bike accident last night. There were 2 people, e-bikers sent to hospital in Waterloo. Oh, that happens all the time because e-bikes are bicycles and very often modified to be motor vehicles because they exceed the limits or the requirements of the legislation to be considered an e-bike. So it happens. But I don't know if you got a question there or if you're just letting me know about what happens. But e-bike riders get injured all the time, especially when they do things like speed or they're not always at fault, but when they're involved in a collision, they have no protection. The same as a cyclist. But if you've got more information or you have a question stemming from that, let me know. Okay. Good morning. Can we pass on a double yellow line? Thank you. The answer is technically you can't get charged for crossing the line. It is a suggestion not to because it's unsafe because there may not be a good view of the road ahead. So you can't be charged for simply crossing the line. But if you caused a collision or caused any issue in the driving, then you could be charged for that. It could be a careless maneuver. It could be an unsafe maneuver. So you could have charges stemming from your decision to cross that line. But just crossing the line isn't an offense. In Ontario, anyway. What happens if you do burnouts or something like that on your own property? Well, we got about 300,000 people who had viewed a video I put up, and it was talking specifically about that. And the answer is it's stunt driving. If you do burnouts, that's intentional loss of traction. That's going to be stunt driving. You lose your license for 30 days. You lose your vehicle for 14 days. You're charged under the Highway Traffic Act for stunt. And there's other ways to get stunt driving charges, but that's one of them. There's a whole bunch, in fact. Doing 40 over in a speed limit that has, or in an area with a speed limit under 80, doing 50 over in an area that has a speed limit 80 and above, doing 150 anywhere, drifting, donuts, that's all under that whole loss of traction, marked departure from the speed. Like there's a whole bunch of things. Driving with somebody in your trunk, oddly enough, is stunt driving. There's a whole bunch of things. Ghost riding, not being in the driver's seat when the vehicle's in operation, that's stunt as well. All those things come with the severe penalty roadside of that suspension and impoundment. But there's an additional 1 to 3 years of suspension on conviction. I think it's $2,000 to $10,000 and up to 6 months in jail. So it's no joke. It's no joke, and it's private property or public property. Like, doesn't matter if it's the road or your private property. Doesn't matter if it's a farmer's field. If it's the only places that are exempt are racetracks and events that are held with permits. So look at the Honda Indy. Honda Indy was on the road, but it was a permitted event. It was an Indy event, and it was permissible. Okay. All right. What is this? Can more than one motorcycle park in a parking spot? Yes. If it's first of all, if you're consuming one parking spot, and we're talking about green pea on the road parking, yeah, you can have more than one, and it's free in the city of Toronto to park in a parking spot. So as long as you follow the other signs, because when it goes to the issue of rush hour routes, even if you were allowed to park at certain times, you will not be allowed to park at other times, and then you'll get towed. That's a thing. Okay. We have a question from Ravi. So the question is, hey, Sean, is it legal for cyclists to lane filter in Ontario? A couple of days back, I was driving to work and the blind spots on the sides and rear and hit a lady who was in my blind spot between the truck and curb at a red light. Who is considered at fault? So lane filtering, where you are traveling between vehicles aren't supposed to be doing it. Motorcycles, cyclists are still vehicles, and lane filtering, you shouldn't be driving in between other vehicles. Now, you're still responsible for ensuring that you maneuver your vehicle. The movement of your vehicle can be done safely. So it's more difficult than simply saying you're at fault or they're at fault. You are responsible for everything you do in your vehicle, and if you were to start from stop position and you didn't survey the area, didn't check your mirrors, that's a problem. But it's a complicated one. Okay. Am I allowed to go off-roading anywhere in Toronto with my dual sport motorcycle? Well, off-roading would require you to be off-road and off-road. There's no off-road trails. You can't go into parks. You'd have to be in a proper trail system that allows for motor vehicles. So the answer would be no. In Toronto, I don't think we have anything off-road that you'd be permitted to use a dual sport bike on. That's Toronto. In areas where there are dirt bike trails and off-road trails, then if it's appropriately licensed and acceptable for the trails, so you'd be allowed to. But I'm not an off-road guy. But again, Toronto, we don't have off-road trails. And if you're on private property, you need permission of the property owner, unless it's your own property, at which point you would be allowed to. Okay, what we got here? We got some stuff coming in from, we got Chase coming in from YouTube. Out here in Winnipeg, they have speed camera vans that park in different places in residential neighborhoods, so nobody knows where they are. Why don't we have this? We did have this. We had this for a long time, and it was actually something that we lost. It was taken away. They overruled it. I don't remember the details of the wording or the reasons, but I think the public didn't like getting ticketed for all their violations, and it stopped. I'd love to see it come back because it's an effective way to slow people down. All right. And by the way, you travel a lot, Chase. Winnipeg, where were you last time? You were in Muskoka at one point. I need to know more about your traveling. It's a lot of traveling going on. All right. How many years do demerit points stay on my license history? They stay on your license history for 2 years from the date of offense. So if you're convicted and it happened a year ago and you're convicted a year later, you'd have another year until they came off. In fact, they'd only be applied for a year based on my understanding of how it works. Now, your conviction stays on for 3 years. That's a different story. Why regular car get pulled over because they don't have front plates, but exotic cars don't? All cars, all motor vehicles that are registered in Ontario require both a front and rear plate. I don't know why you would think that exotic cars don't get pulled over. When I was on the road, I pulled them over all the time. Why? They didn't have front plates on. So I don't care what manufacturer makes your vehicle, whether it's worth $100,000 or $500,000. If you're not displaying a plate, you get pulled over, and then you get a ticket. There's no picking and choosing. Hey, does that stunting revision at private property only apply in Toronto? No, it is and by the way, today is the anniversary of that law change. It was actually September 12th, 2021, where private property the act was amended to include private property for the charge of stunt driving. So happy birthday, stunt driving amendment thing. But yeah, it's across the whole province of Ontario. It's not a Toronto law. It's an Ontario Highway Traffic Act law or amendment. But good question. A lot of people want to know about that. My car is lowered, has camber, and has an exhaust. Can you impound my car or just take my plates? Impounding your car is based on your behavior for stunt. The lowering, the camber, and the exhaust, not the exhaust, but your lowering and your camber could result in an unsafe vehicle situation, and we could take your plates. But we wouldn't impound your vehicle for having it unsafe. We would impound your vehicle for your behavior in stunt driving. So two different things. Or for impaired operation. That's another reason we'd impound. And camber bad. May look interesting, but it's bad. It's not actually something that benefits you, especially if it's extreme camber. That's just silly. What happens when a G driver falls asleep while a G1 driver is driving? Well, they're not being supervised. So they have to be supervising actively, like awake. They also can't have alcohol in their system. So I'd argue that if the G driver was sleeping, they're not being supervised, and I would charge the G1 driver. But the likelihood is, how would I know that they're a G1 driver until they were stopped for some reason, at which point the passenger would likely wake up. So, on paper for the academic discussion, yeah, they're not following the rules. In reality, how would I ever know that? Okay. Morning. How long do I have to pay a speeding ticket for 10 over before a suspension? Thank you. So the deal is that you have 15 days to either choose to take it to court or pay it. And if you do nothing, then it's going to be a finding of guilt based on you saying and doing nothing. And at a certain point, they're going to suspend your license. I don't know the ins and outs as to how long until that suspension becomes active, but it will happen eventually. And don't go there. Don't do that. For 10 over, especially, that's at $40. Yeah, deal with your stuff. Either take it to court or pay it, but don't be the one that leaves it dangling forever. What do we got here? Are police not enforcing distracted driving tickets? Seems recently everybody's on their phone. I can tell you that it has not stopped since the distracted driving legislation came into effect in the first place. Like it's an epidemic. People don't know how to put their phones down. It's It's really a problem. And we enforce as many as we can find. It's not one of those things that we enforce less or more. As much as if we go out there and look at it or look for it, we find it and we write the tickets. And while we're writing one ticket, 5 drive by. So there'll never be enough of us to stop all of it, unless we can somehow, hit a button and disable all cell phones, like remotely. It's a complicated issue. We can't just, what we need is people to comply. We need people to realize that being distracted on a telephone is no different than being distracted by alcohol or impaired by alcohol. It's an impairment. When you're busy sending a text to mom to find out what's for dinner, you're traveling the length of multiple football fields, and you could be killing somebody, which could result in killing somebody or hurting somebody or damaging. Like there's just no good that comes from it. Voice dictation, fantastic. I had 5 things that came up on the way to work, and I said, "Hey Siri," as everyone's phone just woke up, and I dictated those notes, and when I got here, bing, 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 geo location alerts went off, and all those notes reminded me what to do. So there's ways of utilizing your telephone safely and legally. Now, many would argue any distraction, anything, even changing your air conditioning is a distraction, and it is. However, one is legal and one is not. So stick with the ones that are legal or avoid them altogether if you can. In different provinces, things like drinking water, that I'm told are distracted driving charges. Not here. In Ontario, that's not the case. You can have a sip of water. However, if your water consumption was to interfere with your ability to drive or operate your motor vehicle safely, well, that's a different story. That's careless driving. But that's always been there. This whole distracted business is specific to handheld communication devices, handheld entertainment devices, and screen visible by user, or to driver, I should say. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Can I block 2 lanes with my vehicle so the vehicles behind me don't cut off everyone? You can't prevent anyone from passing. I don't know the scenario where you'd be doing this. You mean like as a lane that's coming up and people are crossing and like past you? So zipper merging. I think what you're talking about is zipper merging. And what I think you're doing is actually preventing zipper merging. If there's a merge lane that goes past you, people should be going to the front of the merging lane. They shouldn't be trying to merge in at the very back. They're creating all sorts of unnecessary traffic backlog. That entire merge lane should be utilized, and at the very front where it merges is like a zipper, and every other car gets in, and boy, traffic just moves so smoothly. But when people try and get in way at the back and they stop with 500 meters of open lane, well, they're actually not doing the right thing. So when you block lanes to prevent people from utilizing the entire merge lane, you're actually part of the problem. So don't do that. But I understand if people are using it to jump out of traffic and jump back in, why you'd want to, because those other people are actually really causing and contributing to traffic delays. They may not realize it because they jump 5 cars up and they feel good about themselves, but really they're not being good to people, to anyone. High risk, no reason, no reward. It's not worth it. Okay. Can you please remind people about school buses on the road? Absolutely. School buses are on the road. It's school season. It's back to school. And in fact, this is actually week 2 of our campaign, our safety campaign. And we've been talking about all sorts of, numbers, because we've been issuing a whole bunch of tickets. And I'm going to do a video and a post dealing with, all of the charges that have been laid thus far. I'm just waiting for some stats, and they may have shown up by email, but I haven't received them yet. When we look at the number of charges laid since the beginning, here we have, for September 7th, on day 1, we issued 633 charges across the city. 12 of those charges were within 100 meters of a school. 3 of them were for stunt driving, not in front of the school necessarily, but still 3 stunt driving charges. We talk about, we had the next day, we had 18 within 100 meters of a school, 656 charges, 245 were for speeding, not necessarily within a school area, but still. Students travel outside of the 100-meter, circle around a school. So anywhere you travel, you should be following the rules, regardless of proximity to schools. Just follow the rules, because it's about being safe. I know people get really upset. We don't. The speed limits are too slow, they say. No, the speed limits are designed to keep people safe, and it's an argument that goes on and on and on and on. It's an argument that never ends, in fact. What's really wild is Friday, we had 60 charges within 100 meters of a school. I don't get it. I don't get why people can't just slow down, put the phone down, follow the rules. But that's just me. All right, let's have a look at what's going on. What is this question? I drive a pickup with a trailer, and by the time I start to brake to stop for the light, it stays green, forcing me to go through. But once I'm committed to going through, I can't stop. It's a statement. I don't know what you mean. So essentially, when you're traveling through a green light and it turns yellow while you're past the point of no return, you continue through. If you're approaching a yellow light, you should be stopping for it unless you're past your point of no return, at which point you proceed through, because it's unsafe to do otherwise. I think that's what you're talking about. But yeah, you can be charged for going through an amber light if it was deemed that you should have stopped and that you were well within your ability to stop, and you chose not to, like gunning it to a yellow, because some people think yellow means go faster. It's not what it means. Yellow means stop unless it's unsafe, and there's a charge. It's the same charge effectively as running a red light. It's running a yellow light. Okay. School buses, though, I want to finish something off on the whole school business. School buses in particular now have a 2-stage lighting system. What does that mean? It means there's 2 different colors instead of 1. Used to be that when the lights were flashing but the vehicle was still in motion, the school bus was still going, you could pass it. It was a warning in advance of the vehicle stopping that it was going to stop. Makes sense, right? But it confused a lot of people. Some people thought they had to stop. Other people didn't think they had to stop. Some people didn't think you had to stop unless a stop sign was out. Well, here, let me lay it out for you. The new system is really simple. Yellow or amber or orange flashing lights, however you want to refer to it, when the vehicle's in motion and preparing to stop. Once it is ready to stop traffic, it engages stage 2. And now you have flashing red lights. The bar in the front, if equipped, will come out, and the stop sign will come out, at which point you cannot pass in either direction a school bus. Now, if you're on a divided highway where there is a barrier, a physical barrier, not just a line, but a barrier, whether it be grassy knoll or concrete median, that is going to be a divided highway, and at that point, you can still go. Oncoming traffic doesn't have to pull over and stop, or I should say stop, not pull over. But you cannot pass that school bus. If it is a undivided highway where it's just a painted line in between, then all vehicular traffic has to stop, and it's a serious offense. Not only is it a serious offense that's expensive and comes with a bunch of demerit points, but you put lives at risk. The whole reason school bus safety is a thing is because we want to protect our vulnerable road users, the ones who are really small and really vulnerable, those who tend to be going on school buses to go to school, students, kids, young people. The children are our future. There's a whole song. All right. Boom, boom, boom. We talked about that. Is there a ticket for someone who's driving with high beams on? Absolutely. Fail to lower to use lower beam is an offense. You can only use your high beams in certain circumstances. So if you're approaching oncoming traffic at 150 meters, you have to turn off or go to the lower beam. If you're behind someone within 60 meters, you have to be on the lower beam. And the offense is a $110 fine, and it's for failing to use the appropriate beam, and the wording, is fail to use lower beam, I believe. Toronto Police Traffic Unit, is true that, what is this? Toronto Police Traffic Unit. Is it true that police will not come to a car accident if it's not $2,000? No. So here's the deal. $2,000 is the reportable limit or minimum. So you are not required to report a collision if the combined totals are under $2,000. So let's say you make rub contact. You scratch some paint. It's $500 between you. That's not a reportable. It doesn't require a report. You guys can work it out. You can choose not to. You can choose whatever you want. It's not required by law that you report it. Once it's $2,000, and that's real easy, because I'll tell you, in some cars, you get a scratch and paint, even that little fender bender situation, and it's $10,000. You hit a McLaren or scrape a McLaren, it's not going to be $200. So that's a reportable collision. By law, you're required to report it, and the difference is you can do that at a collision reporting center. In fact, you could go with an unreportable, because you're not a mechanic and you won't be able to estimate. You could take any collision where the vehicles are where there's no criminality and or injuries, or that whether if there's injuries, criminality. Okay, wait, let's back this up. If you get into a collision at the side of the road and it's minor, you can drive afterwards to a collision reporting center. So yeah, we won't necessarily send a police officer to a scene to do that collision report, because you can go and drive there. It's minor. There's either no injuries or no one's transported, I should say, by ambulance to a hospital. Because if you are transported by ambulance to a hospital, we're going to be coming there. If there's criminality involved, someone's impaired, someone doesn't have insurance, someone isn't a licensed driver, that's a problem. We're going to come and investigate on scene. If you are, if the collision is, what else could be there? Someone's just not cooperating. They refuse to give up their information as required by law. Yeah, we're going to come and investigate. But in most situations, minor collisions or even ones with minor injuries where people aren't transported, go to a collision reporting center. It's the way to go. But will we come? It depends. Correct me if I'm wrong, but bike shares around Toronto are e-bikes. You are wrong. If you mean bike shares being the city of Toronto, pay to borrow bikes, those are not e-bikes. They look like e-bikes because they're enormous. I imagine they're heavy as heavy gets, but they're not. They're just people powered. They're pedal powered. Can you touch your phone to accept or reject a phone call while driving? Yes, if it's mounted, you can do the single swiper touch to answer or hang up. That's it. You can't dial. You can't hold. Even if it's not on, you can't hold it. It could be your what's it called? Soothing phone. Can't hold it. Technically can't have it on your lap. People have been convicted for just having it in their lap. You can't change the channel on your music. You can't surf or you can't even set your GPS. That you've got. So when you're pulled over safely at the side of the road, you can set your GPS, hit your destination as a go, and then look at your GPS, but you can't actually touch your phone. You can't actively use it. That's a thing. I was really hopeful. I just pressed the button on TikTok to see if we were able to see the Q&A feature, which has been gone for way too long. It still doesn't work. So sad. If you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I go live on social media answering your traffic and police questions. I do it Monday to Friday as long as I'm in the office. And if I'm not, well, you can also get us on other social media platforms, ask questions, leave comments, send DMs. If you want to see everywhere that we are, check out the link tree in our bio, because that will have our YouTube page where we have all of our old episodes of Ask a Traffic Cop, so you can watch for hours and hours and hours and hours. We have a podcast you can listen to, and you can listen to that safely in your vehicle, because it's a podcast. There's no video. You can get that. It's called TPS Traffic Jam. You can get it anywhere that podcasts are. Through your favorite player. Now, you can also watch the video version of our podcasts on YouTube or Twitch or wherever you're watching us, because we archive that stuff. And somebody's calling me, and I'm not answering. Sorry, Steph. I guess nobody else is answering, so they're trying to find me. But they should know, 10 to 11, that's where I am. I'm here. So I apologize for ignoring everybody. All right, but I'm not ignoring you. We're here for you. This is a show about you. Ask a Traffic Cop is where you come with your questions, and we answer them as best we can. And when we don't have answers, we try and find out, and we try and talk about it next time. I know, what is this? Mitchell 420 says, I know you're legally allowed to drive a lawn tractor on the road, but at 16, but does it have to be a normal lawn tractor engine? You're wrong. A lawn tractor is not a tractor. An implement of husbandry is not a lawn tractor. And you can't drive a lawn tractor on the road. Now, you could drive a proper tractor on the road with a slow speed, sign on the back, as it's intended. Like it's a proper tractor. You can't go put a rocket fueled tractor and then try and use it as a motor vehicle. No. But yeah, and it's so you're not exactly right. Technically, a lawn tractor needs to be transported by trailer. E-bikes are not allowed on highways, right? Okay, e-bikes are motor vehicles, and if they conform to the legislation, they are considered e-bikes they're considered bicycles. They get all the rights and privileges of a bicycle, but that means that they cannot be more than 32. Well, they can't have a motor that is more than 500 watts. They cannot have a maximum speed on a flat surface of more than 32 kilometers an hour. They can't be more than 120 kilos. And your question was highways. Well, highways is any road in the province of Ontario. If you mean expressways, then absolutely not. You cannot have a bicycle on a controlled axis highway. In Toronto, it's a bylaw offense. On 400 series highways, it is an HTA offense, and you can't do it. No expressways. But on the road, which is a highway, technically they can be, but they have to follow all the rules of the road. Well, all the rules of the road. We got that. Are fines pardoned over time? No, you are owed. You don't get to, if you wait it out, they don't expire and you don't owe the money anymore. They will leave it on there and you will owe till the end of your days. But I've never heard anybody ask that question. So kudos for the unique no. Can we use license plates from a just sold vehicle onto just purchased vehicle to reach Service Ontario? If the vehicle's plates are valid, if they're not, if you've already removed them from the just sold vehicle, so it's no longer attached and they're in limbo but valid, then yes, you've got 6 days that can be used to transport your newly purchased vehicle that is insured to the MTO for transfer. It's a practice that's acceptable. I would suggest making sure that your vehicle is safe. I would do the transfer at the MTO when you buy it. I mean, there's even MTO offices that are open on the weekend. So complete your sale in the parking lot. Take your package, go inside with the other person, and make sure that the transfer is done properly and completed. That would be my suggestion. What do we have here? What traffic violation do people commit that irritates you the most? All of them. No, I kid you not. I mean, cell phone speeding, everything. There's no, all of the traffic violations are there for a reason, to keep people safe. And when people choose to break those laws and put people in danger, my family is part of that people. Yeah, that irritates me. All of them irritate me. So there's no one that irritates me more. I mean, one of the most prevalent is going to be speeding and cell phones. But listen, I get annoyed when people don't signal. So I'm annoyed by all of them. I write all of them. If I'm on the road, I'll write tickets for any of them. There's none that I just think are okay. Okay, we got here. Is it illegal to have rock lights, white light while driving, shining on tires? So if you mean in the wheel wells, if it's not projecting outwards, if it's not visible to the sides, it's just glowing on the tire, I have no issue with that. If the bulb is visible projecting out, it's a problem. There's no specific rock light law or underglow law. However, there are other laws that it would violate. Headlight laws, taillight laws, light laws. Okay. Do I need an M license to drive a 3-wheeled motorcycle? You need an M license would give you the ability to ride a 3-wheeler, but you can actually get an M, I forgot what the designation, ML, MB? I can't remember what the designation is for, I don't recall. I don't recall what but there is one that you could test on a 3-wheel bike, and then you're only allowed to ride a 3-wheel bike. So that's a thing. Okay. Can I still report it to the police if the collision happens and it is under $2,000? Yes, you can. A collision reporting center would be the best place to go, unless it's that criminality or other issues. And you can report it because you're not a mechanic. If you say it's $1,000 and it's $3,000, you were wrong, and you're better off to report it, in my opinion. Okay. Chase has got a question. What is Chase's question? I'm not hearing it. Let's see here. Stand by. Trying. Is that working? It's not working. Why is it not working? That's working. I got to reload. For some reason, this is not. Listen again. It's not playing. Okay. But something about coming up behind somebody, and I do not know why it's not playing, Chase. But I can't actually play your question. It's not working. Big Jeff Fresh, what's going on? Long time no see. Okay. Karen Murray wants to know, I'm curious about the LED kits for motorcycles, white lighting kits, legal, illegal? So same sort of story. White or other colors, irrelevant. If the bulbs are visible and projecting high power light out, it's a problem. So forward-facing light over 300 lumens is going to be considered a headlight. You can only have 4 of them on a motor vehicle facing forward, and in colors that are legal facing forward, so white or yellow. If it's to the rear, amber or red are the only color light you can project other than your license plate light, which must be white, and light to the rear. So when I talk about underglow, I say this. If bulbs are visible, it's a problem. If you're only illuminating the ground beneath your vehicle and the bulbs are not visible, so properly installed, I don't see an issue with it. The officer who stops you might, so it's not an easy peasy. You're safe. You're going to have to articulate in court why it's not a problem if you're charged for a violation. But there's no underglow law. There are marker light laws. If they're super bright lights and they're interfering with someone's ability to drive safely, there's potential for problem. My suggestion would be only use them on private property. But that's my suggestion. I used to have blue accent lights in my motorcycle. Inside the engine compartment, I used to have light that reflected against the chrome. So my chrome sparkled in blue. It wasn't direct lighting, and I, again, see no issue with that. Even though, I removed it because I didn't think it looked cool anymore. Let's see here. Shrek is TPS Shreky watching? He was watching. He may still be here. How's it going? Okay. Andrew has a question. Hi, Sean. Got a question. See, I knew it was a question. Unless directed otherwise by signs, is a U-turn allowed anywhere a left turn is, including intersections with a traffic bus? Okay. So if you're at an intersection, if it's safe to do so, if it's not signed otherwise, then generally speaking, it's a legal turn. It is one of the most risky maneuvers, and you are fully liable while making that turn. Any turn, actually. So here's the deal. If you are driving anywhere where there's no view, no clear view, it's a curve in the roadway and you can't see, that's a prohibited area for a U-turn. If it's a crest of grade, it's a prohibited area for a U-turn. If it's in front of a viaduct, tunnel, railway crossing, there's a whole bunch of ones that are absolutely prohibited. But an intersection is not, unless it's signed otherwise. And if there's a sign there saying no U-turns, that's good for 150 meters beyond that sign. Have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? I have not, but I've been meaning to. Is it cool? Is it good? Is it as much as I've been hearing great things about that movie? What is this? I have a G2 no car. Do I need to get insurance to drive a 1X, one time a month? Okay. If you are borrowing a friend's car, if you're renting a car, you don't need insurance yourself. You need a vehicle. The vehicle has the insurance. If you're going to drive a vehicle that is owned by someone you live with, then insurance companies often want you to be listed as an occasional driver. And if you don't, you may find yourself not being covered by insurance for the vehicle anyway. They could deny your claim if you're a regular driver and not paying for that privilege. If you don't live with someone and you just keep borrowing Bob's, the neighbor's car, there's likely no stipulation requiring you to be an occasional driver for one time a month. But is it better to establish yourself as a driver, get a history? I would think so. But that's, as a police officer, we couldn't charge you for driving uninsured because the vehicle is insured. This is a private situation between the vehicle owner or the insured party and the insurance company. That was a very professional way of saying it. Yeah. Okay. How long does a DUI stay on your driving record? Well, a DUI is a criminal charge, and as such, it's part of your criminal history and stays there forever unless you get a pardon for it. The suspension also stays as part of your history. Collisions resulting from your DUI, if that was something involved, the conviction for the collision portion of it would only stay for 3 years. That's a different story. Criminal. It's a criminal offense. Don't drive impaired. Doesn't matter if it's drugs or alcohol. Don't do it. Can you report a cop for violating a sign like turning during a no turning time? You can report anyone. You can report a police officer for anything if you think they're doing something wrong. The OIPRD would be one way to do that. You could call go to a police division and also make the report. And they may or may not be liable or responsible for it because there are things that we do in the action or the, what am I looking for? The lawful execution of our duties that could be permissible. Now there's no specific violation of sign turning exemption, but if we need to go somewhere for an emergency, that could be justified. But you are welcome to make reports, and they will be investigated. Do you think that driver's licenses should be federal instead of provincial? Demerits don't transfer. Demerits do transfer. We have reciprocal agreements with almost all of the provinces, if not all by now. Technology is such that we can get information very easily. We have access to all the driving records elsewhere. So would it be interesting to have federal? I don't know. I've never really thought of it. Every state in the United States has different driving laws too, and different requirements. Maybe one day it'll get there, but not yet. Not there yet. Okay. I have a parking ticket due. Is there a way I can let it go past due a bit because I don't have cash? You'd need to talk. I think there's interest applied if you don't pay it. I think there's ramifications or consequences for not paying on time. So I would look into that. If you're really short on cash, you might want to look at making a deal with the courts. You could go in and not dispute it. You could plead guilty or have a conversation with the prosecutor and say, I want to pay it. I want to deal with it. I'm a responsible individual, but I'm really tight on cash right now. Can I make payments? That's something that's an option. I've seen it done in court. If I renewed my license plate for 2 years before the refund, do I need to renew it this year? If you renewed it, you're renewed till the sticker expires. Even though stickers are no longer being issued, it's still valid until the end of that permit. It's printed right on a new permit, or you have a validation sticker on the back, which continues to be valid until it expires, at which point you need to renew. I hope that is clear. Law on 49cc and under on Ontario roads. I don't know why this is something that keeps coming up, but a motor vehicle is a motor vehicle is a motor vehicle, and that's a motor in a vehicle, and you need to be licensed, insured, and roadworthy. You can't just drive a 49cc bicycle conversion or moped without a license, without insurance. You can't do it. You require a motorcycle license on a motorcycle regardless of the cc, the displacement. You require insurance and a license plate. So mopeds that are 49cc still need to be properly licensed for the road, and it is a motorcycle license that you require, even if it's a low-power motorcycle license. What is the most expensive driving offense? I think, well, it depends. You're talking about instantaneous or so a cell phone charge, distracted driving, $615, 3 demerit points, 3-day suspension on your first conviction. When you talk about, the resulting, because at the end, stunt driving doesn't have a fixed price, but on conviction could range from $2,000 to $10,000 and up to a 3-year suspension and up to 6 months in jail. So that's pretty expensive. Impaired driving is criminal, but we're looking at an average offense is $15,000 to $30,000 at that range. That's pretty expensive. And I should talk about, so with stunt driving and impaired driving, you're getting suspended and you're getting an impound. So you're looking at 15 to 25. Well, I don't know what the price is. Towing charges, storage prices. There's a lot of money with all these things. The best thing is to not break the law, not stunt drive, not impaired drive or drive impaired. Just do the right thing and be safe and follow the rules. It's the easiest way to avoid all of these things. And I gotta tell you that we're not trying to charge people. We're not trying to find ways to make money for the government. We're trying to keep people safe. We're trying to enforce the laws that were put in place to keep everyone safe. So if you don't break the laws, we don't have a reason to give you a charge. It just doesn't happen, right? It's cause and effect, and the cause is the driver behavior, the choice to do something dangerous behind the wheel. And yeah. What can I do to stop a neighbor that has a very loud car and goes through stop sign hammering it? You can make a neighborhood complaint. You can make a report specifically about that vehicle. If it's in Toronto, we have a website interface that you can use, www.tps.ca/. Actually, I don't know what the // is anymore. It changed. Go into the website. It's online reporting. You can make a report about a neighborhood complaint or specific vehicle complaints. It's a real report. It creates a report, gets issued to a police officer for follow-up. That's about it in terms of just making a report. Otherwise, it's up for us to find them on the road and lay the appropriate charges. Are people required by law to move over at a ramp when merging onto a highway? Move over on a ramp. Do you mean to make room for people to get on? You need to find a safe place to get in. We can't block you intentionally. No one can block you intentionally. That could result in charges. But are they obligated to move over when they're approaching a ramp? No. Can you do 60 in a 50 school zone at midnight? No, because 50 is the speed limit all the time. unless it says otherwise on the sign. And if you do 60 and a 50, either you're going to get a ticket from the camera or a police officer who happens to be in the area. Just don't do it. The speed limit posted is the speed limit all the time, unless it's a conditional sign. There are some that flash during certain times. Those are temporary adjustments to the speed. That's different. Okay, what do we got here? Vehicle Valley wants to know, Sean, have you seen the video of the Ferrari Daytona getting hit on a U-turn? No, but I love the Ferrari Daytona. I am a big fan of Miami Vice, and that was a beautiful car if we're talking about the same car. The Daytona Spider. Maybe I did see that. I think I did see that video. Oh, that was a bad video. It's a gorgeous car. Although I don't think that was an old school Daytona Spider, was it? Maybe it was. Now that Ontario is no longer requiring new renewal stickers on most vehicles, can we remove them from the plates? Yeah, if your vehicle's valid, if the permit is valid, you're valid. You don't need the sticker. So you're good to go. Private property stunting laws are not keeping people safe. Why do you say that? The idea is, and in the spirit of law, as far as I'm concerned, is that it was to combat the folks who were creating a problem. They were going into private property, onto parking lots, into other people's property, and doing burnout events and drifting. So absolutely, that was a way for dealing with those things. And have you seen some of the videos with Takeover? People walking around vehicles while they're doing burnouts and donuts. It's a matter of time until someone gets killed. So absolutely, those laws help to dissuade people from doing it and help keep people safe. Where do you do stuff? If you want to do that kind of monkey business, you go to a racetrack. You do it properly with appropriate insurance, appropriate safety gear, appropriate safety crews, and whatnot. There's no excuse to do that on the road, private or otherwise. And when people say, well, I've got a big farm and I can do what I want on my property. Well, the truth is we're not sitting in your bushes waiting for you. If your neighbors aren't calling in to complain, we're probably never going to know that you were doing it. But that's not to say that it should be legalized. It's meant to be a preventative measure. Even if you do stupid things on your own property and you get hurt, you still did something stupid that was preventable. And we, the government, I say we, the government, even though I don't write the laws, want to keep people safe, even the people who want to do silly things to hurt themselves. Okay. What do we got here? Can I install, what is this? Can I install an exhaust with a smaller muffler? You need to meet the requirements of a muffler. Whatever a muffler requirement is for the province you're in, if it's required, it's got to be there. If you change it to an aftermarket that is different, as long as it meets the requirements under law, you're okay. If you put one on that's screaming loud, then you're going to be looking at unnecessary noise charges and the like. Okay. Can a cop give you a ticket for tints while parked in a mall? No, but if they saw you driving on the road and then you pulled into the mall to park, then yes, because they're charging you for driving on the road with it, not driving in the mall with it. But if you're just parked and it's been there for a month and you put the tints on there and it's never been on the road and we never saw you driving on the road, well then no, we couldn't lay the charge for tints. I'd be interested to know if you were charged after not having evidence of you driving on the road, because that would be interesting. Can you ticket someone for moving infraction when they're found parking on the wrong side of the road? Well, parking on the wrong side of the road is a parking infraction. That's actually against the law. What's the moving infraction? I don't know. Like drive wrong way? I don't know. I don't know you have to give me a little more information. I'd love to know. If you're watching this and you're like, who is this guy? Well, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff in general, well, all the time. Well, as often as I'm on this channel broadcasting. And that's usually Monday to Friday from 10 to 11, which is going to be coming to an end in about 6 minutes because we can only do this for about an hour a day before I turn into a pumpkin. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see here. If I have a motorcycle, e-bike, do I need a license? You either have a motorcycle or you have an e-bike. If you have an e-bike that does more than 32 kilometers an hour, it's a motorcycle and you need a license. You need insurance, you need a plate. Because e-bikes are only e-bikes if they conform to the legislation. As soon as they do not, they revert to their original state of being a motor vehicle. If you have a e-kick scooter, you have to conform to the rules and regulations around kick scooters. You can only operate them in areas or municipalities that conform to the rules, that subscribe and actually opted into the pilot project in Ontario. But if you have an e-kick scooter that goes 24 kilometers an hour, that's legal if you're operating it within a legal area. And if it does a kilometer more, it's a motorcycle. If you put a seat on an e-kick scooter, it's a motorcycle. There's a whole bunch of rules. Got to know them all. Got to make sure you're not breaking them because the consequences are phenomenal. Chase says, Sean, can you be the TikTok traffic cop forever? As long as I can, I will. I don't know if there'll be any. I don't know. Nobody's applying for the job. But at some point, I'd love. I'm not going to do this when I'm 90. That's for sure. I hope to retire at one point. But who knows what tomorrow brings. But if there are police officers watching who want to do this, you should let me know, because there could be other faces on this channel. All right. What is this? Is it illegal if police officers jump on the front of the car to stop you for a traffic ticket? Jump on the car? Like physically? You got to tell me the story about this one. But illegal? I don't know about illegal, but dangerous? Not a good idea? Let's talk about that. Give me some more information. I can't make a decision based on that statement alone. When you come to Regina next week, will it be public? I'd love to meet you. I will be in, I'm doing a tour with the Traffic Injury Research Foundation. We're going to be doing presentations at schools and different organizations throughout the province. I haven't looked at the schedule to know the specifics, but I will be making public appearances. They're mostly schools, universities, and such. But give me your information, send me a DM, send me an email. I'll let you know if there's an opportunity to do a meetups at some point. I'm sure I can do something. I just have no idea how that's going to look yet. Okay. What is the difference between RCMP, OPP, TPS, military police? Can they all pull you over in the city? Okay. We're talking about Ontario specifically. So first of all, OPP and Toronto Police. Those are both. One's a provincial police service and one is a municipal. The municipal police, being the Toronto Police, have authority as police officers throughout the entire province, just as the OPP. The difference is our jurisdiction and what our focus of our efforts is, our duties, are different. Toronto Police focuses on Toronto. Often we partner up with OPP and work on large projects outside of Toronto, but we are the Toronto Police. OPP handle municipal and traffic policing for the entire province. RCMP is a federal police service. In different provinces, they handle municipal policing, but they also are federal and do have policing powers and roles throughout the country. When you talk about can they pull you over here? Yeah, they have the authority of police, but they don't generally enforce the HTA in Ontario without having special authority, I believe, granted. So I don't know the ins and outs of what they do. But yeah, if a police officer is pulling you over, you can't ignore the RCMP. You still have to pull over. They may call one of us to write the ticket because of dealing with courts and whatnot. I don't know. Military police can deal with any member of the military anywhere in Canada, but they deal with traffic situations within generally the confines of their their base, or dealing with any one of their vehicles, or dealing with any one of their members. So it's not as clear and cut, but they're all police. If you see flashing lights, pull over. Okay. Can we operate phones using voice commands? Yes. Don't touch your phone. Don't hold your phone. Don't look at your phone, but you can talk to your phone. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, we're 2 minutes out. 2 minutes out. It's almost finished. And I do want to play the traffic song because I miss it. I haven't listened to it in a while. Can you be charged with speeding when attempting to pass on a two-way highway where passing is allowed? Yes, because speeding is illegal all the time. You're never allowed to speed, even when passing. It's because speeding is the limit, or the speed limit is the limit, not the minimum. And why would you be passing someone over the speed limit? Because if they're doing the speed limit, you wouldn't need to pass them to do the speed limit. You would just be behind them doing the speed limit. Yeah. So yeah, you can be charged. Will you get fined for speeding in a construction zone even if there's no one working? Yes. Well, no. Depends. It really depends, because those amber or orange or yellow signs are cautionary, not regulated. If it is a white sign, it is a regulated sign, and that is the speed limit whilst that sign is displayed. Yeah. So if the sign is up and it's a white regulated sign, that's the speed limit all the time, and you could be charged. The others are cautionary. Okay. How does a police officer know the radar was locked on your car specifically? We make observations. Radar devices, speed measurement tools, are there to assist our observations. So if I see your vehicle or a vehicle traveling faster than everybody else, and I look at the radar and there's a speed that is faster than the speed limit, and there's only one vehicle going faster, then I can articulate why that is the vehicle on a radar device. Now, if you're talking about laser device, which is more often what's being used to measure speed, well, I pointed at your vehicle and I press the button and I'm looking through a scope. That scope is looking at your vehicle, and when I press the button, I get the speed for your vehicle. Now, at a certain distance, the beam widens, and it is potential that it could be wide enough to capture more than one vehicle, which is why I have observations of what was going on in traffic. And I'm testifying to not only the reading from the machine, but in conjunction to support my independent observations. Hopefully that's clear as mud. Let's see here. Yes. Can you get 3 parking tickets when they impounded the car at the same time? I don't know what you mean. Generally speaking, you get 1 parking ticket a day, except in certain areas where you can get multiple parking tickets. But you could get a parking ticket and under scofflaw be towed because you've had 10, I think, parking tickets that are unpaid, I believe. Can a G1 driver drive accompanied by a foreign experienced non-Canadian licensed passenger? So if the foreign experienced non-Canadian licensed passenger has the equivalent of a G-class license but is here, then I'm going to say yes. If you are a G1 driver wanting to drive outside of province of Ontario, the answer is no. It's only good in the province of Ontario. Are people charged regarding illegible plates? Some are horrendous. They are charged. Is it the focus of what we do? No. Could we do it all day long, every day? Absolutely. We focus on the stuff that leads to serious injury and death. And when there's none of that going on, we can turn our attention towards the people who have license plates that are horrendous. And there's so many of them. And we do lay those charges on a regular basis. There are, if you have a license plate that is peeling, bubbling, dirty, deal with it. You're responsible. It's a $110 fine for not dealing with it. Okay, we're going to exhaust the questions that I have on screen, and then we are going to say goodbye because we got other stuff to do. But we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. to do it all over again. Okay, what happens to cops talking and texting on the phone while driving? I see this happening a lot. Well, I got news for you, and you're not going to like it. Police officers are legally exempt from the handheld communication laws, which permit them or prevent you from doing it and permit them to do it. They can use their handheld communication devices. And guess what? We're issued telephones. Why? Because in the course of our duties, we're required to use our handheld communication devices for police business. Now, is it something we want to do? No. It is preferable for us not to be using this while driving because it's distracted driving, and it is something that is a risk, which is why it's illegal for everybody but police, fire, and ambulance. But very often we are in a situation where we need vital information in relation to the business we're doing, police work, and we have to get that information, whether it be a telephone call to someone with important information that must be relayed at that moment and cannot wait. And sometimes it's to look up a license plate. Now, we're allowed to look at a computer. We also have that ability from our phones, and we have the ability to do that. And sometimes we're in a car that doesn't have any other means of looking up the license plate. Because people often say, well, use a laptop. Sometimes we don't have a laptop. The laptop's not working. Our phones allow us to do the same type of work. Additionally, people say, go use the radio. You got a walkie-talkie. Well, guess what? A walkie-talkie is a handheld communication device, and it's the same thing. So we try and keep it to a minimum, but it is something we're legally permitted to do. I have a G2. No car do I... We talked about that already. I am from Australia. Why do you drive on the wrong side of the road? I would ask you the same question. And actually, I rode a motorcycle and drove a car in Australia. I have some family down under. And it's weird, isn't it? It's weird for you and weird for me. And yeah, we should stick to our own side of the road. But I don't know why we're different from you and why the rest of the world is different from us. And I don't know. I don't know. It is. I can't get used to it, though. And driving stick is even worse than driving an automatic. And a motorcycle where you have no reminder what side of the road to be on, it is a challenge. You get used to it very quickly or you die. But it is, yeah. It takes some adjusting. Okay. Can you have an officer verify that you're installed a car seat correctly in your vehicle? We used to do this on a regular basis. There are companies and organizations that will check your ability to install. Someone who does those installations is around the corner. Hello. Are you taking off or are you sticking around? We're going to go off the air in a second. Don't go anywhere. But yeah, the deal is that we don't install for people. We will demonstrate. We haven't had a clinic here in a long time through COVID. It hasn't happened. But CPSAC, CPSAC, is it CPSAC? CPAC. Okay. CPSAC.org. I said I was going to make a button for this. Yeah, it's the CPSAC, the Child Passenger Safety Association of Canada. They'll connect you with people who can either do it online or in person and verify that you're doing a good job. And that's a great resource. You want to make sure it's done properly. I can't tell you. First of all, every vehicle I stopped that had a car seat, I checked the car seat. And if it was improperly installed, the driver got a ticket and had to install it correctly before they left, because no child's leaving if it's unsafe. Hello, Danny. It's for the Toronto Police College. I'm doing good. I hope you're having a great day too. Let's see here. Why are speed traps so rare on streets where drivers speed so regularly? It's all about resources. We can't be everywhere all the time, and having an officer stay in one place all the time doesn't always work. Our officers do go out and target different areas, focusing on areas that need attention to slow people down. But we can't be in the same place every day. People will temporarily adjust their behavior if we are there all the time. So we rotate. We come there and back. We would love to see everybody slow down and do the right thing, but unfortunately, it doesn't always work. Okay. If I get any kind of traffic ticket in the States, would it show up in the MTO? Yes. Depending on where you are, there's a reciprocal agreement, and yes, it does report back. Just a quick question. Can I have a car under my name, but the insurance on the car under my brother's name? That's up to it's not a legal issue. I believe it's legal. You just got to talk to your insurance company. Lane splitting versus lane filtering. One is while driving, one is while approaching a stop, but either one is not safe and not legal. Let's see here. Does stunt driving apply to dirt bikes on private property? Yes, it does. Tracks are exempt, but that's it. What happens if you have purchased a stolen vehicle from a private sale? You bought a stolen vehicle, it'll likely be taken away from you. You may or may not be charged criminally. That depends on the findings of the investigation, but you're probably going to lose the wheels. So to make sure you're buying a legit vehicle, there's actually a website. If you go to our link tree, there is a specific website link that will give you the ability to run a VIN number to see if it's stolen or not. But do your due diligence. Make sure you're checking everything out first. And can an off-duty police officer give you a traffic ticket? Technically, we're always police officers, so technically yes, but probably not going to happen. It has been a fantastic day. I'm going to leave you with my favorite song. That is the Traffic Song, written by a police officer at Traffic Services, performed by that same police officer, and played for you now. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed, and watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.